Hey, what's up, you guys? David here, and it is finally the time to do my favorite albums of the year 2018. A couple things I want to say before we get into this list is one, none of these are going to be ranked. I really did not feel like trying to put these in any certain order and ranking them. That just would have been way too much work. It's my first year doing this, so it's already going to be, you know, difficult and time consuming as it is. But yeah, no ranking. The only things that are going to be in order are going to be my top three, which are all tied for the number one spot. So when it comes time to do those, you'll find out what those are. But yeah, three albums tied for the number one spot. I could not choose just one to be my album of the year. Just couldn't do it. But and the next thing, and this is probably the most important, this is my list. It is not yours. If you dislike something on here, if you have a problem with something on here, then go ahead and make your own. It's not going to change anything. These are my opinions. However, I will say that if you do think that there's something missing from this list that you think I missed out on and that I should check out, hey, feel free to leave that in the comments and let me know what it is, and I'll try my best to check it out, and I'll let you know what I think. But yeah, without any further interruption, let's go ahead and get on to this list. Coming in at number one, we have Druid Lord with Grotesque Offerings. This is their second full-length, released on Hell's Headbangers. Druid Lord is really, really fucking good death doom out of Florida. Just really crushing, heavy, and this particular, what I really enjoy about this, it's very heavily horror themed. They even use some sound samples. You got some voice lines from Peter Cushing. I think one of them is from Suspiria, if I remember correctly, which is just really, really fucking cool. Just really gives off that horror movie, spooky sort of atmosphere, but just really heavy, fucking crushing riffs. If you like Hooded Menace, I think you're going to dig the fuck out of this, as I love Hooded Menace as well. But yeah, Druid Lord, Grotesque Offerings. By the way, one of my favorite album covers of the year. I'm sorry, I know my computer might be showing a glare, but I gotta keep it up for the list. But if I had to pick some favorite tracks, I would say Evil That Haunts This Ground, Last Drop of Blood, House of Dripping Gore, and Creature Feature. Those are probably some of my favorites. But yeah, Druid Lord, Grotesque Offerings, fucking awesome. Coming in at number two, we have Portal with Ion. Their fifth full-length, released on Profound Lore Records. Portal is a band that I have been a big fan of for a couple years now, thanks to my friend Wyatt XM. Yeah, this is the most accessible Portal album to date. They really, really beefed up the production. The playing is obviously still abstract and weird, and, you know, it's still got that creepy, spooky Portal atmosphere to it. But it's not quite as murky and dense and dismal as, you know, some of those past Portal releases. And Vexavoid was already heading in this direction, so this just pretty much improves upon that. But the playing is great. The curator's vocals sound just as awesome as ever. Actually, his vocals are a lot more clear in the mix than they've ever been. The drums are also a lot more clear in the mix, which is really cool. Just a tornado of fucking spooky, just a tornado of riffs, just being like you're just lost in this fucking vortex of horror chaos. Pretty awesome. It's what you'd expect from Portal. Some of my favorite tracks, I would have to say Freaks, Crone, and Revolt of Vaults, if I had to pick a few. But yeah, Portal, Ion, very fucking good. Next up, coming in at number three before I get to that. Number three is Mammoth Grinder. I do not own this physically, so I'm going to talk very briefly about it. Mammoth Grinder is a super group project consisting of members from Iron Reagan and Power Trip. And three-piece, very punky influenced death metal. This is released on Relapse Records. It's about 28 minutes, just packed full of really great, energetic, catchy riffs, and just, yeah, really solid punk influenced death metal. Really enjoyed it. So Mammoth Grinder comes in at number three. Number 4 is Hooded Menace with Ossuarium, Silhouttes, Unhallowed. This is released on Season of Mist. This is their 5th full length. It's not their best. I definitely prefer Fulfill the Curse, Never Cross the Dead, and Effigies of Evil over this, like, easily. But it's still really good. It's the crushing heaviness that you want from Hooded Menace. There's some tinges of gothic sort of influence coming in on this. The production's a little more clean. Unfortunately, the guitarist, who was also the vocalist, does not do the vocals on here. This vocalist, I still like his death growl and everything, but he doesn't have like that monstrous kind of growl that the other guy had. But yeah, still really, really enjoyed this. Hooded Menace, Ossuarium, Silhouettes, Unhallowed. Definitely still recommend it. And number 5, we have Genocide Pact. So, sorry, I did that again. But yeah, number 5, we have Genocide Pact with Order of Torment. This is their second full length on Relapse Records. Another one I do not own physically. Hope to pick it up someday. But just, yeah, really crushing, pummeling drumming, just really solid death metal from Genocide Pact. And I think it's definitely their best, way better than their first album. I enjoyed their first album, but I think Order of Torment is a lot better. The production's a lot better. The riffs are even catchier this time around. So yeah, Genocide Pact, Order of Torment comes in at number 5. Now, coming in at number 6, Good Tiger with We Will All Be Gone. This is released on Metal Blade Records. This is their second full length. Good Tiger is a band that I would only recommend to progressive music fans. And it's not really metal either. It's like a progressive alternative rock kind of style. There are some metal-ish moments on here, but yeah. It's just really good, catchy, progressive music. It just fucking jams. I really, really enjoyed this. It's just a really, really fun listen. I love Alex Brudinger's drum work on this, although I hear he left the band already, which that's kind of disappointing. But yeah, the vocals are also not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but if you can get past that and just enjoy it for the music, I recommend it. That is a Good Tiger with We Will All Be Gone. After that, coming in at number 7, we have Rote with Alterity. This is their, their 4th full length, I think. This is on Nuclear War Now Productions. Rote is just crazy, chaotic, blackened, death, grind, and noise. This beats the shit out of anything that these fucking war metal bands nowadays try to do, in my opinion. But, yeah, mostly black metal and grindcore and noise. Still quite a bit of death metal, I would say. But yeah, just if you're looking for something to just fucking destroy you, basically, to just absolutely pummel you until you are nothing, yeah, check out Rote. Definitely only recommended for the bravest of extreme metal listeners. Very, very intense listen. Rote, Alterity. Coming in at number 8, we have... Oh, wait. That is one I have. Coming in at number 8, we have Slugdge with Esoteric Malacology. I discovered this band thanks to the YouTube channel Banger TV. Sam Dunn did an album review of this, and that's why I checked it out. And really, really fell in love with it. Really good technical blackened death metal, progressive blackened death metal, whatever you want to call it. Packed full of great riffs, just really catchy songs, really cool vocals. Really enjoy the bass work on here as well. Wish the drums were turned up just a little bit more, just a little bit more of that thick snare sound. But yeah, very minor complaint. Still very, very good shit. Some of my favorite tracks on here, I would have to say Putrid Fairy Tale. Putrid Fairy Tale is definitely the highlight of the album. After that, Salt Thrower and Limo Vincent Amina. That's kind of an odd one, but yeah. Slugdge, Esoteric, Malacology. Coming in at number 9, this is another one that I don't own physically. This is Ilsa with Corpse Fortress. I haven't really checked out the rest of this band's discography, so I can't remember what number album it is for them, but this is released on Relapse Records. Very crust influenced death doom, and it's not really... The vocals aren't really that death growl that you get with most kind of death doom. It's kind of more like this punky, shouty sort of vocal performance. But Heavy as hell, very crushing, catchy riffs on this. I really enjoyed it. Ilsa, Corpse Fortress, coming in at number 9. Number 10 is Pestilence with Hadeon. This was released on Hammerheart Records. I don't remember what number album this is for him. Pestilence has been going for a really long time. Testimony of the Ancients and Consuming Impulse are absolute classics. This really tries to go for that that Testimony of the Ancients and Spheres kind of sound. And it's really nothing new for Pestilence. They really don't try anything new here, but just it's a lot better than what they've been doing lately. So if you're looking for that older kind of Pestilence sound, like I said, particular if you're looking for a sound similar to Testimony and Spheres, I really highly recommend you give this a listen. It'd be a good time to get back on board with Pestilence. So that's Pestilence with Hadeon. Next up, coming in at number 11, we go to the Heavy Metal Legends Judas Priest with Firepower. This is released on Epic Records. Produced by Andy Sneap. This is a huge improvement over Redeemer Souls, in my opinion. The production is so much better. These guitars pack so much more of a punch, which is what Redeemer Souls was missing, in my opinion. This is probably the best album they've done since Angel Retribution. Just great. And also, Halford doesn't really... On Redeemer Souls, there were a lot of parts where you could really tell where it's kind of sounded like he was struggling a little bit, like he was trying a little bit too much. Here, it sounds more controlled. He doesn't really overdo it, and he just sounds great. Doesn't miss a note, doesn't sound weak at any point. Yeah, a fucking fantastic album from Judas Priest. If you're a Judas Priest fan, this should be a no-brainer. Go fucking pick this up. Some of my favorite tracks, I would have to say Firepower, the title track, Lightning Strike, Necromancer. Necromancer's a really fucking heavy one. Traitor's Gate. Yeah. Just really, really good shit. Got to see him on this tour. I'm hoping to catch up again later on this year. And Judas Priest, Firepower. Coming in at number 12, we have Grave Upheaval with Untitled 2. Both their albums are just under the name Untitled. That's just how they like to do it. Grave Upheaval is very spooky, scary as hell, atmospheric death metal. Just these howling, these echoing vocals, just with these hisses and hisses and just howls and just these fucking scary ass wailing screams that he does. It's just fucking awesome. It's very spine tingling, very spine chilling. It'll leave you looking over your shoulder if you try to listen to it in the night. I guarantee that. It's just a very fucking dismal, dark listen. Really, really good shit. And this is the cover for the limited edition, but here is the original cover. So, yeah. Grave Upheaval, Untitled 2. Oh, that's from the side. That's a side project from the members of Portal, by the way, and that is released on Nuclear War Now. Coming in at number 13, we have Rivers of Nile with Where Owls Know My Name. This is a technical progressive death metal band. I can't remember where they're from. This is their fourth full length. Yeah, that's something else I'm not sure of. And I'm also trying to remember what label this came out on because I'm drawing a blank at the moment. Yeah, sorry, I can't remember the label it came on. But these guys used to be a technical death metal band, and with this album, they moved on to more of a progressive metal sound, including some saxophone in there and a little more atmospheric than the last couple of albums. But it's a really solid album from Rivers of Nile. Progressive metal fans, this is definitely one to check out. Moving on to number 14, we had the Grotesquery with the Lupine Anathema. The Grotesquery is one of the many projects that Cam Lee, the vocalist from Death and Massacre, is a part of. Cam Lee really likes to stay off the radar these days, but he's still got a lot of really cool projects, and he is still very active, and I highly recommend that you check out the music that he's doing nowadays. He's still putting out some really good stuff. This is the fourth album from the Grotesquery, and they do things a little more simple. They don't go quite as experimental on this. And it's still conceptual. This album's all about werewolves. Cam Lee, he's always doing something horror themed. He's a big time old school horror nerd. But The Grotesquery, basically what they did with this, they just simplified things a little more. It's kind of more straightforward, like a mix of Swedish death metal and that Florida death metal sound. Really good stuff. A pretty short album, but doesn't overstay its welcome. Packed full of great riffs. Cam Lee's vocals are fantastic. He still sounds great after all these years. Highly recommend it. The Grotesquery with the Lupine Anathema. Okay, where are we now? Now we're on number 15 with Alkaloid Liquid Anatomy. Really good technical progressive death metal. Released on Season of Mist. This is their second full length. Really enjoyed their first album. They go a little more experimental on this, but still very progressive, very heavy. Great guitar work. The drums, the bass, yeah. The musicianship all around is fucking fantastic from these guys. You know, members from Obscura, the vocalist is from Dark Fortress. Linus's bass work is amazing, and we're going to be talking about him again pretty soon. I bet you know who with. Progressive meta fans definitely don't skip out on this one. Some of my favorite tracks, Azathoth, In Tormal's Swirling Breaches, and Chaos Theory in Practice. Yeah, really good shit. Where are we at now? Yep. At number 16, we go to Ritual Necromancy with Disinterred Horror. This is their second full length, released on Dark Descent Records. If you're just looking for more of that evil, dark death metal sort of sound, definitely check out Ritual Necromancy. Their first album, they kind of started out as just being like a lot of incantation worship. They're really starting to come into their own and bring in their own sound more with this album. You can obviously still hear a lot of other death metal bands and a lot of incantation on this, but I think they're really starting to find their own sound with this second album, and this is definitely their best material that they put out to date. Gets pretty atmospheric here and there. As the title suggests, Disinterred Horror. This is horror indeed. Just very spooky sounding, creepy, really, really cool shit. My favorite track on here, I can't really read this font that they got for the tracks on here, but it goes over the 10-minute mark. That's my favorite track on here. That's the one where it just gets... or this is the point of the album where it gets the most atmospheric, just really creepy, spooky, just, yeah, love it. Ritual Necromancy, Disinterred Horror. Coming in at number 17 is Gruesome with Twisted Prayers. This is released on Relapse Records. This is their third full length. Matt Harvey and the guys, once again, knock it out of the park with another great album. Just death worship done perfectly, in my opinion. I get it. Some people are like, well, why not just listen to death? Fair enough if you don't want to listen to this band because of that. I fucking love it. To me, it's like we got a Death for the modern times. I mean, that's just really fucking cool. Death is one of my all-time favorite bands, so I've got no fucking problem with that. And yeah, this is their take on spiritual healing, and it sounds dead up like spiritual healing. I mean, and if the overall sound and production wasn't enough, the lyrical themes are very similar to spiritual healing, and they even got James Murphy to play a couple solos on some of these tracks. I can't remember which ones in particular, but yeah. An excellent take on spiritual healing. I can't wait to hear what they do next. Matt Harvey, you're a fucking musical genius. Keep it going, and the rest of this lineup, you did an awesome job as well. Yeah, hopefully I get to see these guys live someday. Some of my favorite tracks on here, I would say Inhumane, Fatal Illusions, and the title track, Twisted Prayers. Also comes with a bonus track, Possess the Exorcist. Really cool cover. Yeah, Gruesome, Twisted Prayers. Coming in at number 19 is, or no. Oh, that's right, because that album's, sorry. 18 is actually one of the albums that tied for number 1, so technically, oh, whatever. This is what I have it listed as on the computer. This is already fucking up. I'm so professional, aren't I? I don't care. 19 is Widek or Widek with Dream Reflection. This is a solo musician from Poland who comes from like that genty sort of style. If you like Periphery, Pliny, Sithu I definitely recommend giving this guy a listen. What this guy does, though, that's different is it's all instrumental, but it's really just beautiful, atmospheric, ambient, progressive metal. Really great guitar playing on here. I love the production and sound overall. Really great melodies. Yeah, just a beautiful, beautiful listen. Widek or Widek with Dream Reflection. Coming in at number 20 is Chemist with Desolation. This is another one that I don't own physically. This is released on $20 spin. Chemist is a band that I kind of started to pay attention to after they released their album The Hunted, I think is what it was called, in 2016. And what I found very similar to this band, I thought they sounded a lot like Paul Bear and another band I discovered recently, Spirit Adrift. But with this album, Desolation, Chemist really, they're known for being a doom metal band, but they really branched out into a lot more than just doom metal here. There's a lot of extreme metal elements. There's a little bit of death metal. There's some progressive elements. There's traditional heavy metal on here. They really went above and beyond with what they were trying to do on this release. And really fantastic vocals on here as well. I really like the guy's vocal performance. But yeah, Chemist, a very, very solid metal release from 2018. Definitely worth your attention and time. And it's already got a lot of attention. You're going to hear a lot of people talking about this album. Okay, coming in next, we go to A Feather and Bone with Bestial Hymns of Perversion. This is released on Profound Lore. This is a 3-piece band from Denver, Colorado. From what I heard, or from what I looked up, they weren't a death metal band at the beginning. They were more of like a hardcore kind of band, and they moved into a death metal territory with this album. I'm glad they did that because I really, really enjoy this. A lot of grind influence with this album. Obviously, still mostly old school death metal, but yeah. I hear some incantation, I hear some Swedish stuff going on here, a lot of different influences here. But it's a pretty short album, but it's, again, it works out in its favor because it doesn't overstay its welcome. Yeah, really solid death metal from this year. A Feather and Bone with Bestial Hymns of Perversion. Coming in next, we go to Obscura with Diluvium, released on Relapse Records. This is their fifth full-length. Shit, I should know that. Big fan of Obscura, one of my favorite progressive metal bands, modern progressive metal bands. Or, they're in the technical progressive death metal, whatever you want to call it, kind of style. If you're a fan of Obscura, this should be a no-brainer. These guys never release a bad album. This album is no exception. Linus's bass work, Stefan's guitar playing, the drums, the vocals, fucking everything. The musicianship is awesome and just amazing all throughout. Not a single bad song on here, and yeah, can't wait to hear what they do next. Really glad I got to catch them on this tour. It was my first time seeing them. It was incredible. It couldn't have gone any better, and hopefully I'll get to go see them live again. Also got to do a meet and greet with them, which was the first time I had ever done a meet and greet for any band. So yeah, really, really cool. Obscura, Diluvium, great shit. Next up, we go to Burial Invocation with Abiogenesis. This is released on Dark Descent. This is a band from Turkey, a band that I was not familiar with until I just checked this out on Bandcamp. It was one of those things where I was keeping up with everything Dark Descent was doing, and eventually I ended up checking this out. Very, very solid, crushing death metal from Turkey. The tracks are on the longer side, and with that, they really use that time very well and put a lot of variety and not much repetition at all into these tracks. It all fits very well. Yeah, really, really good stuff. I like the vocals on here quite a bit. Like I said, really crushing, catchy riffing. Yeah, really cool stuff. Burial Invocation with Abiogenesis. Next up, we go to Between the Buried and Me with Automata 1 and 2. This is another one I don't own physically, so I'm going to talk very briefly about it. Between the Buried and Me, another one of my favorite modern progressive metal bands. They've been going for a long time. This is a double concept album. I don't know if I like it more than Coma Ecliptic, but it definitely has that similar production and sound, but much more experimental. I feel like they were really trying to go for a strong colors sort of vibe on this. The only tracks that were kind of just mediocre, kind of a throwaway for me, were Millions and House Organ. Every other track, including, Automatum 1 and 2, is great. Love it. Great riffs, great musicianship. They really bring those jazzy sort of guitar moments back. And just a really, really cool album overall from Between the Buried and Me. Really enjoyed it. So Between the Buried and Me with Automata 1 and 2. God, my voice is cracking. Coming in next, we have Haunt with Burst into Flame. This is released on Shadow Kingdom Records. Excuse me. This is their debut full-length. Very good traditional heavy metal. Love the guitar work on this. The vocals don't really have the range that I would prefer when it comes to this particular style of heavy metal, but he still does a good job. Fits the music, so, it's passable. Really good stuff from Haunt. Just a catchy, fun listen if you like that. If you're into that style of traditional heavy metal, definitely don't forget to check this one out. Haunt, Burst into Flame. Okay, another one that I don't own physically. Coming in next, we have Era with Neon. Going to talk very briefly about this. Probably one of the biggest surprises for me this year. Just a band I really was not expecting to be on something I would check out, let alone put on my year-end list. Era is just really good, progressive, catchy progressive metalcore, and that djenty sort of style. I see them as kind of like a mix of Periphery, The Contortionist, and Velemaya, so if that sounds like something that's up your alley, definitely give that a listen. Alright, the last one I have to talk about here is Irreversible Mechanism with Immersion. This is their second full-length, released on Blood Music. Very beautiful, catchy, atmospheric, progressive death metal. And very different from the direction, or a very different direction from them to take compared to their first album. The first album was kind of more of like a more blackened and just sort of atmospheric version of The Faceless. And the atmospheric sound they expanded with on this, it's even more atmospheric than before, but they sound a lot like Fallujah now. I really hear a strong Fallujah sound within this, but that's not to say that this doesn't still sound like their own, because it definitely does. Amazing musicianship on here. I love the solos, just the beautiful soundscapes and ambience used to create that atmospheric sound on this. It's just, like I said, just a fucking beautiful, beautiful listen. But still very, plenty of great heavy riffs and stuff like that as well. Irreversible Mechanism, Immersion. I feel like a lot of people haven't really been talking about this, so if you're into that technical progressive death metal style, definitely don't pass on this. Okay, and we'll end it there. That is the first part of my favorite albums of 2018. I will continue with part 2 here pretty soon, and I think I should be able to fit this into only 2 parts, so the second part will be everything else. So I appreciate you guys watching, liking, commenting, subscribing, all that, and I will see you in the next part. See you later.